Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's the kid, is the boy, Egal. You know who it is. You know what it is. You know why you're tuned in. You're tuned in for that knowledge. You're tuned in for that ball knowledge. You know what it is. I used to actually coach basketball a little bit in my time. I used to play a little bit here and there. You got some footage of me on YouTube. I'm not saying I was a star or anything, but I got buckets. You know what? I know a little bit about Jimmy Buckets. I know a little bit about Mr. Jokic himself. You know what, Jayson Tatum looking like the second coming of Kobe Bryant, doing some amazing stuff at Boston. And you know what, my Toronto Raptors, Kawhi Leonard helped us win that chip last year. He helped us win that chip last year. So let me tell you guys, we're still the defending champs until somebody else wins it. We're still the defending champs until somebody else wins it. So you know what? Put some respect on our names. But yo, we're out. And you know what? This video is about the NBA doubleheader. We got the game 7 that no one thought was going to happen, the Denver Nuggets versus the LA Clippers, and the Miami Heat versus the Celtics. And you know what? I'm excited for these games, man. These games tonight are going to be exciting. Too bad it's on so late for me over here in the UK, but let's get into it. So you know what it is, guys. It's the KidEG, and I'm back again. Yep, rocking that Toronto Raptors championship shirt from last year. We're still the champs. Obviously we lost in the playoffs, but we're still technically the champs until someone else wins it. So you know what? I'm gonna rock that shirt with pride. I wear my Raptors shirt with pride. You know what I mean? Home city, support my team. And you know what? We lost to the Celtics. We lost, but you know what? We didn't go down fighting. We went down with respect on our name. We went down with respect on our name, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you that much. But let's get into this. Let's dissect the doubleheader tonight. The NBA doubleheader tonight. Tonight's doubleheader is going to be very interesting, right? Let's get into it. So the first game that we're going to be having on the night is going to be the Celtics versus the Heat. And this is a game you would have never guessed, the Celtics Heat Eastern Conference Finals. Actually, there is some people who put bets on the Eastern Conference Finals being the Miami Heat versus Celtics, but definitely not me. I would have thought the Raptors and the Bucks would have got to the Eastern Conference Finals. I didn't think that the Heat and the Celtics had a chance to both meet up in the finals. And you know what? Big up to them. Big up to the Heat. Big up to them beating the Bucks the way they beat them. Bucks only getting one game. Giannis Antetokounmpo basically disowning his whole team by unfollowing everybody on Instagram. It was, to say the least, it was a shocker. And you know what? No one would have picked them to win. And they did a good job. You can't fault them. They did a good job. They did their thing. And you know what? Respect to them. They beat the brakes off the Bucks some games. And you know what? The Miami Heat have that equalizer that a lot of people underestimate, that three-point shot. It's the great equalizer in the NBA game nowadays. You can have big man, you can have a small guard. It doesn't matter. If your 3 points shot is falling, you're going to win that game. And you know what? The Miami Heat have 3-point shooters on their squad. They got some shooters on their squad. They got some gunners. They can do it from anywhere. They can hit it from anywhere. And you know what? When you look at it at the cold light of day, you would have never guessed that they would be this good. But you know what they do? They fight harder than anybody else. They're that team that just, you can't underestimate the Miami Heat, man. The Miami Heat this year, they remind me a little bit about the Raptors. How it's just everyone is just doing their thing, and they got Jimmy Butler, who's the guy who gets them the bucket when they need it. That is what you need when you're a big team. When you're a team like the Miami Heat, that's what you're missing. They're missing that one guy who can create and do anything for the team. And the good thing that the Miami Heat do, they keep going in and out. They drive into the paint, dish it out, second pass, find that open man, and drains that three every time. And when you have shooters like they do, they got some crazy shooters. They got Tyler Hero. They got that young guy. What's his name? Oh, man. Then they got Jimmy Butler. They even got strength and depth when it comes to their bench. Miami Heat's team is no scrubs. And you know what? I'm not surprised that they're as good as they are. A lot of people who underestimated the Miami Heat, you weren't watching the NBA this season if you underestimated the Miami Heat. They were one of the most exciting teams to watch. And what they constantly did against other teams, they gave them a reality check. They fight harder than everybody. They out-rebound teams that are bigger than them. They're not the biggest team. They play Bam now at center, and Bam is no scrub. He's come out. This is his come out party. This year has been his come out party. And you know what? A lot of people need to put respect on Bam Adebayo's name. Bam Adebayo has shown that he is a baller. And you know what? This Raptors talk, I was gassed about the Raptors. I thought we could do it, but you know what? The Miami Heat show what we did last year was we needed that one guy to take us over the hump. And you know what? The Miami Heat have Jimmy Butler, and he's that guy who takes them over the hump, you know? And you know what? Boston, on the other hand, Boston got some shooters too. They got some really good players in Jayson Tatum. You know what I mean? In Kemba Walker. Whew, they got themselves a good team. Both teams are really, I would say, evenly matched defensively. Just I think Boston is, it might be a little bit easier for Boston to score on half court sets, where the Miami Heat are going to be looking to launch up those threes and get those buckets from the threes. But let's just look at the Miami Heat's depth chart to begin. Let's look at this Miami Heat depth chart, because you know what, I'm gassed about this Heat team. Let's look at their team. So the Miami Heat right now, I'm on ESPN. I'm just looking at what the road that they've been on. So you got Goran Dragic, you got Duncan Robinson, who is no slouch. He can shoot that ball. He can do some dangerous things with that ball. You got Jimmy Butler, Jay Crowder, and Bam Adebayo. You know what they did since the lockdown? What they did was they basically said, scrap everything we were doing pre-lockdown, and we're just gonna play with these guys. We're just gonna ball with them, and we're gonna see what they can do. You know what they've been doing? They've been shooting that ball. You see Kendrick Nunn's currently injured. They haven't even missed him. They got Derrick Jones, who just came back from injury. Derrick Jones Jr. What he does is he brings he's another slasher who can who in the half court set, he's dangerous off the backside alley-oops, little things like that. And you know what? The Miami Heat, when you're looking at this depth chart, you're underestimating how deep they actually can get. Because think about it. You got their starting 11, and then you look at their second unit. Tyler Hero can score. Iguodala, former Finals MVP. Derrick Jones Jr. I don't know what they were doing up in Phoenix, letting him go. And then you got, Kelly Olynyk. Kelly Olynyk is a good player off the bench, man. He's a really good player. Leonard, he was supposed to play as their center. To be honest, I'm kind of happy that they went with Bam. It makes more sense now in the small ball era, that the way they're playing. And you know what? Jimmy Butler, he is a superstar, man. You guys cannot put respect on Jimmy Butler's name. He no longer is that guy who people can test his character and make jokes about him. He is an absolute baller, and he's done what he had to do. But now looking at this Boston Celtics team, what they did to us, the Toronto Raptors, they played good defensively, and at times, whenever they needed a bucket, they could just score. They had Marcus Smart, who was terrorizing us defensively. They had Kemba Walker, who we literally had to put a boxing one on at times. Jaylen Brown had one bad game, but the rest of the games he was balling. You know what I mean? He really did good. And then you know what? Their bench is not that good. Their bench is not that good, especially when you bring in Enes Kanter. You know what I mean? But they sneakily got guys like Grant Williams who did good against us. Semi Ojeleye did good against us. Even Robert Williams III did good against us. To me, the guy who cannot play a minute in this series has to be Enes Kanter, because when Enes Kanter was on against the Raptors, that's when we were getting all our runs. That's when we were always scoring. The thing about Boston is they will let you have one of those games where it's low scoring and they'll just get a bucket out of nowhere. Because you look at their whole starting lineup, even Marcus Smart was raining threes down on us, and they're just good at doing this one thing where they keep going. It's almost like 5 out, and then they just have Tice in the middle. And if they need to go traditional, just alley-oop to the dunker spot with Tice, they can do that. And when they have Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown in the zone, with Kemba Walker also in the zone, they could easily get over 120 points on you guys. So you know what? I think this is going to be even series. I right now, if you had to put a gun to my head and make me pick one team, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go with, if it's a flip of a coin, I think this series is a pick'em for me. The Miami Heat versus the Celtics, I think it's a pick'em. You got the 5th seed versus the 3rd seed. I think it's going to be the Celtics who go to the finals. I think the Celtics are going to have too much for the Miami Heat. And you know what? I'm just going to stick my neck out on the line right now and say the Celtics beat the Heat in game 1. And you know what? They could probably beat them in a 7-game series. Now, switching it over to the Denver Nuggets, we got to put some respect on the Nuggets names too, because these guys, not only did they come back in the first series versus the Jazz, but they came back this series now against the Denver Nuggets. They are not playing games, guys. Denver Nuggets are a team that have been playing good basketball. They have a young star in the making in what's his name, Michael Porter Jr., who did say some controversial things the other day when he was calling out his teammates, saying they need to be more team-oriented and pass the ball a little bit more to him, which a lot of people found was out of line. But I think it's good that you got players within the team calling each other out. This is what a lot of these media members don't realize. It can only bring you guys together. I don't care what you say when you say, oh, it brings it apart and this is that. When you got a rookie calling out the centers and the point guards from not passing the ball. But you know what? These guys, they got themselves a good squad, and they just got so much players. Remember, they traded a lot of their pieces away too. The Denver Nuggets are no slouches, man. I like the Denver Nuggets. And just look at their squad. You got Will Barton. You got Torrey Craig, who's no joke. Troy Daniels can score. Jeremy Grant, who's a defensive beast and just showed throughout the season that he's consistently one of the most important players to this rotation. Gary Harris, who was supposed to be the star before you had the likes of Jamal Murray, my Canadian brother, doing his thing. You got Monte Morris as the backup point guard. Paul Millsap, in my opinion, he's almost finished. Like, he's done. Like, end it now. Just leave. Just go. Like, you know what? His career is just gone down the drain now. And then what else? Who do they else have? This is the guy right here. This is the guy. Forget about everybody else. Jokic. Jokic is the best center in the NBA. I don't think there is a debate. Jokic is the best center. Not only can he score, he can create and pass the ball and assist. You just give him that ball at the top of the key, and he can break a zone defense. He can and he can just find you so much different options. He's in a pick and roll. He's one of the most ideal people to have because he can shoot and he can pass and he can crash the board to get some rebounds. You know what? The Denver Nuggets, man, you can't sleep on the Denver Nuggets. And after what they did against the Jazz and what they did this series, you know what? The Clippers, the best team in the NBA, apparently, they got a little bit something to worry about. They got something to worry about because you know what? They could be in a situation where they'd be down late and they're gonna struggle because the Denver Nuggets have had an identity issue. But in this playoffs, they've shown that they have an identity. But when it comes to the Clippers have a problem, man. The Clippers have a problem, and there's no secret. The teams just question what they're gonna do, and they just have to get rid of Kawhi. They get rid of Kawhi, and the rest of the team might crumble. Kawhi Leonard looks at some of these players sometimes, and he's like, just move over, because sometimes you got to question some of the players' basketball IQs and what they're doing on the court, because there's times where Paul George went missing. There's times where you have guys like Patrick Beverley, who's the only like guy fighting with the guy at times. And you know what? From what I've seen from the last couple of games, they might have themselves a little issue. Let's now look at this guys. Let's look at these guys. In my opinion, the Denver Nuggets. Doc Rivers was talking about it. There's no secret behind the Clippers' collapse. He was talking about it. They've had defensive issues, and this is the so-called best defensive team at the beginning of the season. The Clippers were supposed to be this amazing team, this, that. You know what? If I'm the Denver Nuggets, I have confidence going into this next game, and I would be worried if I was the Clippers, because you know what? What do they have to lose? They've been the underdogs the whole entire time. They've been made fun of. They've been criticized. They've been told they're not good enough. And you know what? In my opinion, yo, what's good? We got someone in the comments saying what up. Big up to you, bro. But yeah, I genuinely think the Denver Nuggets could be the underdogs that take out the big boys, the Clippers. The Clippers were supposed to be this dogged team, this is that. And you know what? It's just Jokic has shown that he can do it on and on again. Jamal Murray has shown that he's a star. They erased a 19-point deficit against the Clippers last game. They're just showing that they can do it consistently. And after losing the first 3 games against the Jazz, as you can see right there, they went on to win the next couple games. And it's just 3-1 series usually is done, right? 3-1 series usually is done. But no, they did it twice. They did it twice now, coming back from 3-1. So you know what? Don't underestimate them. They're the heart of the champions. Now getting back to the Clippers. What's going on with the Clippers, boys and girls? What's going on with the Clippers? Do we have to question these kind of super teams? Their first year, they always seem to struggle. You don't have super teams who just win their first year, except for Golden State. Golden State were something else. When Kevin Durant came to Golden State, it became a problem for the whole NBA. They were just a problem, except for the Raptors. Remember, the Raptors were the last team to beat that Golden State dynasty. But you know what? The Clippers, they are looking like they could collapse. They could fumble last minute. And you know what? It's time for my predictions before I get into discussing more of the games tonight. From what I've seen of these two teams, what do I think? I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say everyone who picked the Clippers, today is the day where you're going to have to rethink that. Because the last two games, okay, let's look at this. So the Clippers won game 1 dramatically, right? Then they won game 2 dramatically. They lost game 3. It was a tight game at the end. They ended up losing by 9, right? Then you got the third game, the next game, they won it, right? They won it by, what was it, 4 points? No, 6 points, my bad. They won it at 6 points. Then they won the next game by a good deficit. I think what they need for this game is, first and foremost, obviously they always need Kawhi Leonard to show up. That is just a given. But one of the other big boys have to show up and help them out, because this is it for them. If the Clippers lose this series, some of their boys are free agents, and they might not be able to get them back. The team is basically built to win in 2 seasons. If they don't win this season, I don't know how they're going to retool to win next season, because they're going to have some boys leaving. I'm pretty sure. Am I mistaken? But I'm pretty sure that what do you call it? First of all, Harold might be gone. And Harold's crucial off the bench, because they only really got 2 guys off the bench who score buckets. They got Harold, Lou Will, and you could say a little bit throw in Jimmy. You throw Jeff Green in there, but the main guys who have to show up for them are Morris Sr. You know what it is. The Morris brothers just do their thing, and Morris Sr. got to show up, because if he doesn't show up, and Paul George doesn't show up, Kawhi Leonard is left on an island by himself, because Kawhi Leonard has been consistent. You need either Marcus Morris or Paul George to carry the load offensively from that starting unit, because Patrick Beverley is not going to carry you offensively. Patrick Beverley is not going to be that guy who carries you offensively. Marcus Morris has been averaging, I think, 16 points this season, and he's been crucial to everything the Clippers have been doing in the playoffs, and he's been one of the most consistent guys for them. You can't expect much from Zubac. You're going to expect mostly you're going to expect Harold to come in and give you your 20 minutes of productive points off the bench. Lou Will to give him your 20 minutes of production minutes off the bench. But in my opinion, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard have to play upwards of 30 minutes, and they have to get you each close to 25 to 30 points each for you guys to be in this game and win it. Because it's shown you go as far as those 2 guys go, and it may be a cliche, but you win and lose with your superstars. And if they don't perform, you guys are losing. And this is why my picks for the night are going to be the Denver Nuggets to beat the Clippers, and the Boston Celtics to beat the Heat. And you know what? I would love to see the Denver Nuggets Boston Celtics final, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be Lakers Boston. But for now, Clippers, get them out of here. I want Kawhi Leonard to regret leaving the Toronto Raptors. My Toronto Raptors. Our Toronto Raptors, to everybody watching from Toronto. Big up to you guys. And you know what? This is where I'm going to leave it on you. It's going to be a Boston Lakers final. And I think the Clippers are going to lose today to the Denver Nuggets. You guys, let me know. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comment section. Let me know what your predictions are. Let me know what you think. You know what? Don't forget. Do not forget to subscribe. Hit that like button. Hit that bell icon. And big up to every one of you guys watching. It's EGTV, it's Egal, and I'm out.